Hi, Yael. Welcome.
Hi,
So
thank you for
this
having me.
is, yeah, this is an interview as part of our Who Are We as Arts Therapists in South Africa project. And we are very happy to have you on it. Thank you for being willing to make some time.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
pleasure. So let's find out a bit about you. First of all, what is your profession in the arts therapies? And perhaps where are you based?
Sure. So I'm working as a music therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and I work in the Glen Hazel, Silvermont area, close to Norwood,
Hmm.
close to Edenvale, that side of town.
Okay. And tell us about where you studied. Let's start over there. What is your background that's led you into music therapy?
Sure. So I was born in South Africa,
Hmm.
and I grew up here until I was about 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and my family immigrated to New York, to the United
Hmm.
States. So I went to most of my formal schooling in the United States. I went to university at Albany, and
Mm-hmm.
I did my psychology honors in New York,
Mm-hmm.
upstate New York, capital of New York. And I also did a minor in music.
Hmm.
And throughout my life, I've always played guitar and loved singing and loved being involved in music. So it seemed like a natural fit to do music therapy.
Hmm.
And I did my master's at the University of Pretoria
Hmm.
and tax, and now I'm working in South Africa.
Okay. Well, that's an international upbringing, and yes, I can hear from your American accent that you definitely had experience there. And so you had your music background. I'm just curious if there's anything you'd like to add about your inspirations that led you to music therapy and perhaps to the way that you work, like people, teachers, approaches, anything you want to mention.
Sure. So I worked while I was after I graduated from the University of Albany, I worked in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
in Manhattan at a community center in New York City, and I was the director of teen programming. So I
Mm-hmm.
ran a lot of programming for teenagers through the ages of 10 through 18,
Mm-hmm.
and um, I loved working with them and giving them opportunities to connect with themselves and empowering them to impact on their community. So we did a lot of community service work,
Okay.
um, working with other nonprofits, homeless shelters.
Mm.
We used to do programs where we would cook food and meals and prepare them for homeless shelters. And we did trips abroad, all sorts of different programming. So I really enjoyed working with that age group.
Mm-hmm.
And I encountered a lot of children in our groups with special needs.
Mm.
And often we would try to be inclusive and have all the children work together. And it was very important to have those skills and how to work with different client groups and
Mm.
being able to bring everyone together and acknowledge that we all have differences and that's a great thing. So
Yeah.
that's something I really love doing in New York. And it also inspired me to want to work and gain more skills to be able to work with that client group.
Okay. And do you have a particular approach within music therapy or any of your gurus, I guess you could call them, that you really love the way that they work and bring that into your work?
Sure. So I love the humanistic approach, really working with people one on one. Everybody's an individual.
Mm.
There's a type of music therapy called creative music therapy, where
Mm.
it really relies on the person and what they bring. So,
Mm.
whatever a person's able to do, no matter if they're a client with autism or a client with diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or
Mm.
a person with suffering from mental illness. It's all about whatever that person is able to bring at that time, and we work with what that person can do. So it's very much focused on the individual. Every person's different.
Mhm.
You can't say one child diagnosed with ADHD is the same as the next child. Every single person is different.
Mm.
So try to acknowledge the individual.
Wonderful. And how do you work at the moment? Do you use multiple instruments? Do you bring in different particular approaches for particular kinds of conditions or people?
So it depends on the client group that I'm working with. If I'm working with a teenager,
Mm.
I may work with songwriting. and a lot of reflective techniques, music listening, and those types of things. If I'm working with a child with autism, it may be a lot about drumming and playing different instruments and really getting to meet them where they are. So if a person, a stroke victim, is only able to tap lightly on the drum, I would work with whatever that they could do and acknowledge that. So in music therapy, we use a variety of techniques and depends on which client group you're working with.
Okay, excellent. Can you tell us about your clients? Who are you working with?
Sure. So right now I'm working with a lot of children with special needs in different areas. So I have a couple clients with Down syndrome on the autism spectrum as well. I work with quite a few children with ADHD, and I see a lot of benefits with music therapy with all these groups. And I also see quite a lot of clients with Alzheimer's and dementia as well.
Okay, so both ends, the young and the more mature. And do you work in a private practice, or do you go out to the communities or schools?
So I do have my own private practice in the Glen Hazel, Silvermont area.
Okay. And working with individuals or with groups as well?
At the moment, I'm working with mostly individuals, but I do also work with groups and go to centers, and I do groups with elderly and at schools as well.
Okay. I'm going to ask you at the end how anyone interested might be able to get hold of you. But before I go there, I'm just curious if there's anything that you'd like to bring in before we complete our interview.
Sure. I think the arts therapies is a very special and important type of therapy in South Africa. I think, especially in this country, it is so important to be able to reach people in a way that can really get to them and help them. And I think being able to communicate with people who especially can't just use words, to be able to reach people in a nonverbal way is so important. And I'm also currently working on a project called Creative Gatherings, which I've partnered with a number of another drama teacher and some other professionals in the community and professional musicians, where we bring together different musicians, street musicians, amateur musicians, and professional musicians, and try to really bridge boundaries in the communities and bring people together. And it's kind of an Ubuntu mission in a way to really have an opportunity. And we're going to be showcasing our work at the World Congress of Music Therapy in 2020. And it's a very unique project.
Sounds really inspiring. So how can people get hold of you if they want to contact you, find out more, work with you, book a session?
Sure. So I do have a website. My website is Yael, Yael, musictherapy.com. And they can contact me through my website, or my email address is on the website. And I'd be happy to speak and see if music could be for them.
Great. Well, it's been really interesting. One thing that I'm finding interviewing more arts therapists is just the beauty and the sense of community and the sense of upliftment that everyone seems to bring. It's like the creative touch that expresses through music or dance or art or drama. It seems to come from a similar place, and I'm loving really feeling into some of those connections. So thank you for the beautiful work that you do, and for coming on and being willing to be seen as part of our arts therapy community and to share.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Bye.